Hey, welcome back to another video. Funny story. I had actually done this video last year. No, wait, not last year. Like, when I say last year, I mean 2023. We're still adjusting our calendars over here. But I had done my script and recorded the audio in like October of 2023. But then, due to circumstances beyond my control, I didn't end up posting anything for over a year. So this was a video that I'd intended to return to YouTube with because, Harry Potter is just easy for me to talk about. But then, as it goes, I ended up being inspired to do other stuff. Imagine that. So now, here we are. This isn't the script that I was working with in 2023. I did rewatch the movie again and rewrite the whole thing just for you guys. But I'm bringing all this up because I went back and listened to the recording of the original video, and man, I sounded so defeated. It's actually just so weird. Goblet of Fire is one of my least favorite of the Harry Potter movies, so I was never really excited to get here. But my goodness, like, hearing it in my voice just changed my entire approach to this video. Rather than trying to pick out interesting thoughts or questions that I have while watching, because as it turns out, I have surprisingly few when it comes to this movie, I'm basically just going to complain. I'm going to spend the entire time complaining, which means that I will likely draw more parallels to the book than I usually do. It's just that in comparison, the movie is especially boring for me. I think Goblet of Fire is the most fun, like I say fun in air quotes, and I understand why it's a lot of people's favorite. So the movie should be the most fun movie, right? And it just isn't. It's poorly adapted. It's not the worst of the adaptations. That's definitely Half-Blood Prince, but in my humble opinion, it's the second worst adaptation. The one thing I will keep from my original recording for this video is the idea that while I understand why they cut stuff from the books when turning it into a movie, I say this in all the other videos I think, I do understand having to cut content even when that content is very interesting, like Peeves, because there's just so much that needs to be brought to life, and even being able to cut one character here and there does help a lot. So I do understand. But I think this movie in particular suffers heavily. Again, like in my opinion, it just suffers more than the others because it relies so heavily on all of that, like, not exactly plot relevant content. Like I said, it's a fun book. The charm of this book comes from the not exactly plot relevant stuff. Just getting to spend time in the lake and see all these underwater creatures, and getting to watch the Quidditch World Cup and the maze and all its weird trials. Like, these are the things that make this book fun to read. Now, when you trim all of that down, you leave us with nothing, really. Hence, I just don't enjoy the movie. So, with that said, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's talk about it. Hilariously, I'm gonna start off with some praise. The score of the Harry Potter movies is just so good and so distinctive. Like, you hear this and you're instantly transported right into the world of Harry Potter. It has to be said. While I may have my qualms, the score is not one of them. It's terrific. So I watched this first scene and I asked myself, what's wrong with it? And then I get irritated with myself because I don't have the answer. There's nothing wrong with it, really. I don't think they need to film the entire backstory of this Muggle caretaker whose name is Frank, in case you didn't know. It's just not necessary to understand who he is or where they all are. The scene exists, even in the book, to simply let the audience in on the fact that Voldemort is planning something. As the rest of the movie plays out, we're supposed to keep in the back of our minds that Voldemort has some kind of plan for which he needs Harry. So as is, this opening scene is fine. But then just like jumping right from that to Harry waking up at the Burrow and then off they go to the Quidditch World Cup, it just has never really sat right with me. I know a lot needs to be packed into this movie, so we can't waste time with Harry at the Dursleys and then the Weasleys coming to pick him up, despite the fact that I long to see the scene play out with them bursting through the Dursleys' fireplace. Yet I still wish that we had spent some time in between the Voldemorts and the Quidditch World Cup. Like, just ease us back into the world, you know? And, you know, maybe that's my problem right there. I've never actually been able to say what it is exactly, but it feels like we just kind of were thrown into the deep end. The movie starts off with us not knowing where we are or who this old man is, and then, like, there's Wormtail, who we know, but then there's also a man that we don't know, and there's Voldemort, who we don't see, and then when we get to the characters that we do know, we're not given any time to adjust. It's just like, you know, that happened, and then we're off to the next thing. Nothing connects the two scenes. There's no reason we're here except that the script said so. Harry's scar hurts, but no one talks about it. Harry himself isn't worried about it, and it doesn't matter because breakfast's ready and it's time to get up and go. Am I making sense? Like, 4.5 minutes in, the movie already feels disjointed, and yet in universe so much has happened. We've just skipped over it all to the most convenient place to begin the movie. Even the characters don't know what they're doing. Like, Ron asks where they're going, and Arthur is like, haven't the foggiest. Keep up. Which I don't even understand itself, because of course he knows where they're going. But that's just basically how the movie is treating us as the audience. Like, don't think too much about what's happening or why, just watch. Honest question. Honest. What do you think Cedric was doing in this tree? Like, no, like, honestly. No, genuinely. What could he possibly have needed to climb this tree for? The lighting of this scene is confusing. It's supposed to be sunrise, right? Because they all just woke up and Ron is clearly still exhausted, but it's so much darker than the previous scene when they were walking through the woods and met the Diggories. Like, they're climbing a hill, so if it was that light where they were at the bottom, it would be so much lighter here, and yet there's like barely any sun at all. I don't hate how they visualize the portkey travel. Like, I can see why they went with these visuals with the whole spinning in the air and stuff to show that they're being transported and it feels like they're flying. What I do hate is that they then have Cedric, Amos, and Arthur coming down like this, because that means that they were actually flying, or that the portkey did actually deposit them in the air and the rest of the kids fell from however high this is, which, first of all, that's just a very stupid thing to imply. It would have been way better if they just had Cedric, Amos, and Arthur standing while everyone else was on the ground, which, you know, is what they do in the book. The symbolism is the same. It shows that Cedric is older and more experienced. You can still have Cedric offer Harry a hand to help him get up, showing that he's a good guy, but without the need for this comical and also just nonsensical scene. Question: how do they do this whole Jumbotron thing with Crumb? Because first of all, it's being displayed where people are sitting, like in the stands. But second, it's like, what is it? Because even these floodlights technically shouldn't be here. Wizards apparently don't know what electricity is, because in this very book, when Arthur comes to get Harry from the Dursleys and they get stuck in the fireplace because the Dursleys have an electric fire, Arthur is like, yes, I know all about electricity, or something like that. And he collects plugs, which is just like, lol. So wizards don't use electricity, which means these floodlights technically shouldn't be here. But more to the question, how are they having this whole Crumb video thingy playing? The Minotaur's box seems like the worst seats in the stadium. Like, sorry, the Malfoys try to brag about how they're there by personal invitation, but just look at this. They're inside, like they're sitting behind the minister inside this structure. So they definitely will not be able to watch the game without their view being blocked. Like, I don't know, I would just rather be where the Weasleys are, to be honest. Harry's scar only hurts when he looks up at the dark mark, but he's fine from the moment Barty Crouch Jr. casts the spell up until that very moment. And then after, when he turns to look at it again, his scar doesn't hurt. I just always find this scene so funny because it makes magic look like such a joke. Aurors, intent on finding Death Eaters who have wreaked like all of this destruction and who themselves are highly trained, are shooting spells at 3 teenagers who don't even defend themselves. They just duck, and yet all of their spells miss. Mind you, they cast spells more than once. When Arthur yells for them to stop, 2 other spells are cast, and the kids are still just ducking. They're not even hiding. They're right there in plain sight, and they still miss. I do love how dreamy Harry gets about Cho. Like, very accurate teenage crush behavior. Is it only teenage crushes? I mean, probably all crushes, right? Like, you don't even need to say anything to each other, but just the fact that she smiled at you makes you so happy. It gives you like the warm, fuzzy feelings inside. Man, Emma Watson's acting just gets worse and worse with each movie. I love her, no hate at all to her, but it has to be said, she really overacts as Hermione. I don't like the tone that they give her, which I think I said this in the last video, but maybe not. It's this tone where Hermione always seems panicked. Like in the beginning when she's waking them up, I think they were going for bossy, but it comes off as panicked with the way that Emma plays it. Always worried or like super stressed. You guys know what I mean? I'm not a fan of it. Of the trio, I think that she struggles the most. This is a question even for the books. How is Crumb a professional Quidditch player? If he's still in high school, how is he recruited for a professional team? Imagine being in high school but also playing in the Football World Cup. It's not just one game. You've had to play like a whole bunch of qualifying games and then the actual World Cup games leading up to the final. All the training that must go in between, like I'm just curious how he manages it. Why are the students screaming? The ceiling is only bewitched to look like the night sky. So it's like, oh no, thunder. Even if the ceiling malfunctions and forgets that it's supposed to be fake, the worst that will happen is that they just get wet. The screaming is a bit much. The zoom and enhance eye. Oof. My problem with it is the same as the floodlights at the World Cup. This implies some kind of technology when we know wizards don't have any. I won't be baited into ranting about Dumbledore. I won't. We all know by now that this is not anyone's Dumbledore. Let's just leave it at that. This is what I'm saying about the disjointed storytelling. We go from Dumbledore saying the tournament has begun, to Karkaroff slinking suspiciously into the room, to Moody's first defense against the dark arts class. Can we have some actual through line, please? Like, in the first movie, Harry only suspects Snape wants to steal the Philosopher's Stone because he sees all the evidence for himself. Snape's injured leg, the limping, him confronting Quirrell in the middle of the night. These are things we know because Harry knows things. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry finds out that Sirius is his godfather and betrayed his parents, and so that's how we find out too. This movie feels like more than the previous ones. I won't speak on future ones just yet because I can't remember, but definitely more than previous movies. It just inserts scenes for the audience's benefit without even trying to connect it to whatever just happened before. This scene goes nowhere. It leads to nothing. It's just a random scene of Karkaroff being suspicious because we're supposed to be suspicious of him. Exhibit A of Hermione being way too panicked in a situation. Why does she say the line like this? As if she's already so scared. Is she supposed to be scared of Moody? Like, he's intimidating, yes, but she doesn't know that he's about to perform these spells in the classroom. He hasn't yet done his whole intimidation thing, throwing the chalk at Seamus. He didn't shout at her like he did with Ron. Like, why is her voice trembling? Would anyone genuinely be laughing in this situation? If I was in a classroom where, what is this thing? Like, I'm gonna call it an insect from hell, is being thrown around the class, put on people's faces, and forced to crawl all over them, would I laugh? Hell no! I'd be halfway out the classroom in case he decides to do it to me next. Think about the fact that Barty Crouch Jr. was arrested with Bellatrix and her husband for, among other things, torturing Neville's parents. I don't know if he was there when they did it, like, in the books, but in the movie, it's what he's arrested for when Karkaroff names him. So I want you to think about that while you watch him here performing this curse in front of Neville. I'm not really a massive shipper. Like, if a show puts two people together, I accept it. If a character has chemistry with someone else but they don't have a romantic relationship, I accept that it's platonic chemistry. I definitely do not do the whole shipping thing in Harry Potter because it is without a doubt the least interesting thing about the series for me. But if I was to ship anyone in Harry Potter, I've always thought that Hermione and Fred or George would be fun. Like, she's so tightly wound and there's so unwound, chaotic energy that I feel like it would be interesting to see her with one of them. They're not idiots like Ron. In fact, they're very smart. They just don't care about school. I think she even says it herself that the magic they use in their joke shop is very impressive. I prefer it to her being with Harry. I know many people think she should have been, but I much prefer that she just loves him so much as a best friend. I've always said that to me, the trio feels like Harry's best friend is Ron, Harry's other friend is Hermione, Hermione's best friend is Harry, and then because of that, Ron and Hermione are just always around each other all the time. Ron and Hermione don't feel like friends, which is why asking us to believe that they love each other is difficult. Anyway, yeah, Hermione and I guess George, because Fred is dead. Oh, spoilers? Oh wait, oh my gosh, I just thought about this. What if they, like, Hermione and George get together after Fred died? Because George is like undeniably like distraught, right? And Hermione is there and she just kind of tries to be there for him, but she doesn't really know how, because how do you even begin to console somebody whose twin brother just died? So she just like stays around. She's always at the burrow, you know, she's just present all the time, like reading and just there, mostly so that he doesn't feel so alone. And then slowly he starts trying to like loosen her up, because she's still Hermione, you know, she's still gonna be uptight. And so he starts making jokes to distract her from her reading and maybe teasing her for like having so many books. And then it evolves to him playing pranks on her just for her reactions, which are the only thing that then make him laugh. And then boom, they fall in love. Gold. Someone needs to write that fan fiction. I just realized that they don't even mention the cash prize. It's like 1,000 galleons or something, but they don't even say that. It's just eternal glory in the Triwizard Cup. Weird. I like how Harry just sits down. It's so real. It's just so like, damn it. Now he looks and acts appropriately panicked. Talking about something different in this scene rather than the brutal character assassination, I love the chaos in the background as they're coming down. First, according to my subtitles, Moody calls Madame Maxine a French tart. Then he says, "Everything is a conspiracy theory to you," twice. Maybe to her, maybe to Karkaroff, I'm not sure. And then Madame Maxine just goes, I protest, I protest. Even the way she swats the lamp away and says, but of course he is lying. The whole thing always makes me laugh. Maybe it's just my brain looking for some sliver of a silver lining to this whole train wreck that follows. Now, here is the biggest question of all. What does binding magical contract really mean? Because if it's like the unbreakable vow, I'd assume, as I think we all do, that if Harry doesn't compete, he dies. But to what extent must he compete? Like, if he simply slept in and missed the first challenge, would that kill him? Or if he got so badly injured facing the dragon that he couldn't compete in the second challenge, would that kill him? You see what I'm saying? Like, how much of his participation is required? Is it just him intending to participate? What if he doesn't face the dragon but just hides behind a rock until the judges decide that he's failed? Then he doesn't get the egg, then he doesn't know that he has to go underwater for an hour, and he just gets in and treads water, fails the second task, goes into the maze last, and then just shoots up red sparks. He's technically competed, he's just done a really bad job, right? And in all of that, he's safe. Harry's pride would never let him, I don't think, but the teachers and the minister are all acting like there aren't any other options. McGonagall for Queen. Molly Weasley would be so proud of her. She's literally the only one here thinking of Harry as the child that he is. Is it public knowledge that Harry slept under the cupboard for 10 years? Like, funny as her comment is, should Rita Skeeter know this? She's portrayed remarkably well though, I'll say that. Again with the disjointed storytelling. 1 minute Harry's being interviewed, the next he's just standing in the owlery looking out yonder. Like, why is he there? No explanation. Then, as soon as that's done, boom, it's Saturday night and he's going down to meet Sirius. Is this the same day? No idea. Just don't think too much about it, okay? Just watch the movie. Considering Sirius is supposed to die in the next movie, I really wish they'd taken every opportunity they could to depict how much Harry needed him. In the movie, he only tells Sirius about his dream because Hermione tells him to. And then when he tells Sirius he's not ready for the tournament, for the first time showing us, the audience, that he's scared, Sirius is just like, well, sucks to suck, you don't have a choice. Like, no! These are the things that I think could be improved by having one director for all the movies who has read the books! Exclamation mark, and knows what the story is supposed to be. Knowing that Sirius is going to die, you would use the limited screen time you have between Prisoner and Order to show that Harry loved him and that he loved Harry. Show how Harry actually saw him as a parent and trusted him, so that when he dies, we actually care. Not that I don't care, as it is, but that's because of A, Daniel Radcliffe's acting, and B, all the gaps filled in by my knowledge of the books. Dragons are actually quite an insane thing to have 17-year-olds deal with in the first task. Forget that Harry is 14. Just the regular champions, if all had gone well, would still have had to face dragons unprepared. Like, can most wizards do that? I doubt it. Percy, for example, he's a fully grown working man at this point. If he was thrown into a ring with a dragon, am I supposed to believe that he should know what to do? It's crazy. Harry is made of strong stuff. Like, can you imagine the entire school hating you? Like, the entire school uniting in their hatred of you, and yet you still walk the hallways with your head held high. Hermione spent the whole day crying because just the Gryffindors didn't like her, and they weren't even mean to her face. Granted, she was 11, but still. I suppose growing up with a family that hates you and actively seeks to make your life miserable, and having a bully for a cousin who makes sure you had no friends throughout your time in school together helps give you tough skin. I have no idea how Malfoy managed to live this whole incident down. Like, how does he ever have any credibility moving forward, even among the Slytherins? He was put in his friend's pants, inside his friend's pants. Like, come on! I, for one, would never let him forget it, particularly because he always acts like he's better than everyone else. I know they can't grow Moody's leg back because it was probably cursed off like George's ear, but given that this is a world with magic, this pathetic prosthetic cannot be the best that St. Mungo's has to offer. There must be a way to create magical limbs that you can attach. I refuse to believe that wizards created this robotic-looking prosthetic leg that doesn't even let him walk properly. No way. I won't get into the nonsensical nature of these stands, considering that they're watching a damn dragon who could at any moment decide that the crowd is more of a threat than the one child before them, or apparently break free of its chains and fly. We all know this already. Instead, I will talk about the absolute foolishness that is Dumbledore's plan here. Because look at how close this tail comes to crushing Harry. Seriously, look. A few inches and he would be dead. His brain just splattered all over the rocks, and Dumbledore? He's just sitting, watching. He is the only one who knows that Harry is the only one who can defeat Voldemort. He knows the prophecy, and therefore how important it is that Harry remain alive. Yet, he's content to sit and watch while a dragon attempts to kill him. Fleur and Victor have their heads of school helping them with every challenge, so I can't see why Dumbledore doesn't make absolutely sure that Harry has a plan and knows spells he could use to defend or protect himself. I mean, we're talking about the fate of the whole world here. It annoys the hell out of me that this dragon continues to pursue Harry once it's free. It's not like Harry attacked it or injured it in some way for me to believe that it sees Harry as some kind of huge threat that must be killed. Not to mention that it has an egg, which it's supposed to believe is its egg, like its baby. Why would it abandon the egg to chase a fleeing target? And then, not even abandon it in some hidden, safe place. It's right out in the open with hundreds of other potential threats around. I hate this. And then explain to me what exactly happens in this scene. I understand why Harry goes spinning. The dragon catches the end of his broom, but what happens to the dragon? Why does it all of a sudden crash into the bridge? Am I supposed to believe that it didn't see it? Not possible. It looks like it starts trying to fly over it and then just can't. Like it's struggling to gain the height, but why? Then it just crashes into the bridge and goes falling, and again, why? Is there something wrong with its wings? I will give the movie this though. The teenage drama, they managed to do well. In this movie, with the awkwardness of your first prom and the navigating how to ask a girl to go with you, it's done well. Appropriately cringy. Hagrid says that he could pick his dad up at age 6 with one hand and put him on a dresser. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a joke or some kind of hyperbole, like he's just trying to make Madame Maxine laugh, or if I'm supposed to take this seriously, because while Hagrid is big, I find this so very hard to believe for some reason. Like, it takes a lot of strength to pick someone up with one hand and then lift them high enough to place them onto something. Unless his dad was like Professor Flitwick's size or something. I don't know. Like, this just seems like a suspicious statement. Or is it just me? Let's just skip this very disgusting moment. I don't want to talk about it. I was going to say something, but like, I don't want to talk about it. Just gross. I think, honestly, I'll just skip over all of this dance and the romantic teen-related stuff. As I said, I'm not a big shipper. Romance tends to be the least interesting thing for me unless I'm intentionally watching a rom-com. So I don't have anything to say about this whole portion. Not even the Ron and Hermione drama. So I'm going to channel CinemaSins here and say skip. Actually, sorry. I will say this one thing about Hermione's like moment, you know, when she comes out and it's supposed to be like, oh wow, I can't believe that's Hermione. It just failed so hard. Everything from Harry's reaction to the music is telling us that we're supposed to be very impressed, but like, my goodness, I'm not. She is beautiful, of course, but because they omitted all the stuff that made Hermione like quote unquote ugly in the first place, with the bushy hair and the buck teeth and all that, it's just like, I mean, it's just Emma Watson. We've been watching her be Emma Watson for 2 movies now. Or was I supposed to be thinking that this is ugly? Like, please be serious. So therefore, when she comes out, it's just Hermione as she usually looks, but in a dress. It's not the unbelievable transformation that they're playing it as. What is this scene supposed to be? The part at the beginning with Frank was not a dream. It was Harry's connection with Voldemort's mind. He just thinks it's a dream because he doesn't know that about the connection yet. Now, this second scene seems more like a dream. Like, Harry's brain is still subconsciously stuck on what he saw the first time, so he's trying to sort through all that information and it just ends up coming up in a dream. But the two are shot so similarly, and the original dream has no context or explanation, that it makes them both seem like dreams, because this second dream ends with the same "step aside, Wormtail, so I can give our guest a proper greeting." So it seems like, yeah, okay, this isn't actually happening because Voldemort only said that in regards to Frank, who is already dead. But then it has the part where he's looking at Bodycrouch Jr.'s tattoo and it's like, ah, yes, the time is close now. Which is like, it can't be happening because Bodycrouch Jr. is at Hogwarts pretending to be Moody. But does Harry even know that the Death Eaters are marked with this tattoo? I can't see how he would. He doesn't even know that it's the dark mark when he's looking at it in the sky at the beginning of this movie. So when, between then and now, would he have learned that the Death Eaters are marked with the same symbol? It's only later on that he sees Karkaroff showing it to Snape. Why is he having the same dream over and over again when it's supposed to be him seeing into Voldemort's mind? So again, I go back to, what exactly is this scene supposed to be? This bath doesn't make any sense to me at all. Is the intention that the prefects take a bath together? Is it supposed to be like a hot tub kind of thing? Because I would absolutely hate this. There's 2 prefects from every house. Hang on. 2 prefects are appointed in 5th year every year with every new batch of 5th years. But do they remain prefects in 6th and 7th year? This feels like something that I should know, but what is the point of having a new house prefect if there are already prefects from the previous year? Are you only a prefect in 5th year? Or are there like 6 prefects in every house? I don't know. This feels like, I feel like I should know this. Anyway, that means that there are either 14 prefects, 2 house prefects for each house, 1 Quidditch captain for each house, and 1 head boy and 1 head girl, or 32 prefects if students remain prefects after 5th year. If there are 14, then I guess like the likelihood of you wanting to take a bath at the same time as another prefect is pretty low. But if there are 32, the chances increase. Plus, it also means that this is a unisex bathroom. All I'm saying is that it doesn't feel like the luxury it's supposed to be. It always annoys me that Harry goes under the water with his glasses. I don't know why, because it's not, a big deal, but it just always stands out when I watch this movie. I recently got glasses. Well, not recently. I've had them for like 3 years, but I only recently came to terms with the fact that I need glasses, and I cannot imagine ever doing this. Do you think it would have been possible to build the stands underwater? I mean, this is a world with magic. Anything is possible. I think having the crowd here, where the hostages and the mermaids are, would be better than above water. They still wouldn't be able to see what the champions are doing up until they get there, but at least there's the anticipation of like who's gonna get there first, They'd have gotten to see Harry arrive and then wait for Fleur, get attacked by these, I don't know what they are. Are they the Grindylows? Like, they could watch him be attacked by whatever these are, And that's entertaining stuff, definitely better than just watching the water. Here again, Harry could have died. What if he just drowns? There are no people in the water looking out for the kids. Fleur gets attacked and gives up, but is she saved, or does she just escape and go up to the surface? I feel like Harry could actually drown and die right now. And once again, Dumbledore, who knows the prophecy, should be very worried about this. What stands out the most for me in the scene is always Rita Skeeter's reaction, because it's just perfect. I can imagine this is exactly how a reporter would react to this kind of revelation. Like, she's absolutely gagged. It would be me too, to be honest. Like, imagine the scandal. Barty Crouch was set to be Minister for Magic because of his hard stance on dark arts and all that. So his son being named as a Death Eater is just crazy. Now, Barty Crouch Jr. is supposed to be a very smart man, but here he acts like a complete idiot. In the books, he's very young, and he plays it off like a kid just begging his dad to let him go. He's crying, he's denying everything, basically trying to appeal to his dad, to the point where I think even Harry feels bad for him. Here, first of all, he looks older. And then second of all, he gets up and tries to run when he's named. A foolish mistake. Karkaroff is a convicted felon, only offering up information in the hopes that he'll be let out of Azkaban. He doesn't exactly have the highest credibility. And more than that, he has no proof. Barty Crouch Jr. could have laughed this off. Like, all he has to do is sit there and scoff like it's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard and be like, are you insane? Like, as if anyone in this room would believe that. Twisting it to be the desperate and unfounded accusations of a convicted felon would be all too easy. His dad has a stellar reputation, and people would happily believe that there's no way his son was a Death Eater right under his nose. But instead, he acts guilty as hell. Stupidity. And I know Dumbledore later on says that like the proof was overwhelming, evidence was overwhelming or something like that, but I can't see how Karkaroff would provide any evidence apart from hearsay. I like the Polyjuice Potion breadcrumbs. First with Myrtle asking Harry about it in the bath, and then Snape accusing him. Love it. What I realized when I was watching this scene though is the irony of Snape and Harry's relationship. When Harry gets to Hogwarts, he's a pretty humble, polite kid, and on the whole, that is who Harry is. But Snape immediately accuses him of being arrogant and full of himself because he just expects Harry to be exactly like James, which at the time isn't true. But by year 4, because of how Snape treats him, Harry is actually pretty arrogant and rude when he deals with Snape. He's snarky and sarcastic, which he would just never be with McGonagall, for example, which then plays right into Snape's expectations. I hate this maze and everything that it represents. I hate the scary mist. I hate how the champions all act like they're being haunted by their worst nightmares, especially Fleur. I hate the implication that there's something about the maze that changes people, yet we never get to see it. Krum is bewitched by Barty Crouch Jr., I believe, not turned evil by the maze. I hate that Cedric, disarming Krum, knocks him unconscious. I hate that Cedric goes to attack Krum when he's unconscious, which I think we're supposed to assume is because of the influence of the maze. Yet, like I said, this is never explored. I hate how quickly they find the cup, like how little time is actually spent in the maze. I hate that we're supposed to believe that Harry is actually tempted to leave Cedric and go for the cup despite them not even showing us once that he kind of likes the idea of winning. In the book, he's more focused on just getting through each task, but then when he finally gets to this point, he thinks to himself like, wow, I can actually do it, like I can actually win, and he's excited by that. Nothing like that is shown in this movie. So am I supposed to think that Harry Potter, who gave up winning the second task just because he wanted to make sure each of the hostages were saved, is going to let Cedric be eaten by the maze? I hate it all. Wormtail cut off his hand and yet is not currently bleeding to death or writhing in agony. He cuts it off with a regular knife, which in itself is a joke, but then he's just perfectly fine afterwards, walking around like he should not be rapidly losing all of his blood. I can touch you now. You know what headcanon I have? Voldemort is just a really weird guy. Like, powerful and evil, but also just weird. The kind of weirdness that comes from not having any friends. Like, a socially awkward recluse kind of thing, you know? Because he hasn't had any friends, like, ever. Maybe in Hogwarts he had followers, but he wasn't just like chilling with his group, enjoying the sun, chatting, you know. But let's say that those followers was enough. It was enough of social interaction for them. After he graduates, he's just been largely alone. He's not really surrounded by people while he's chasing power, and then he loses his power and he's just kind of off in this weird mist spirit thing form for the entirety of Harry's life. So I think that's actually just the reason he's so weird in this scene, and also in like when he hugs Draco. He's trying his best. Like, he actually just is weird. My boy. Ooh, painful stuff. Did I already make a CinemaSins reference? I think so. I can't remember. I think I did. Anyway, here's another one. I take a sin for that. Once again, Barty Crouch Jr. being an idiot. Harry is like, I don't think I said anything about a graveyard, Professor. And Barty Crouch is just like, well, the gig's up. Better explain my entire plan here. Tell Harry how I've been pulling the strings from behind the scenes this entire time. Incriminate myself even more instead of trying to come up with an explanation as to why I know about the graveyard. I love this moment when Snape sniffs the bottle and he realizes that it's Polyjuice potion, and Harry immediately just looks over at him like, I told you so. But then Snape also just looks at him at the same time. It's a nice, like, small detail. This transformation is horrendous, and I don't understand why. Changing back isn't some painful experience. You literally just morph back into yourself. We've seen it already with Ron and Harry in Chamber, and we'll see it again when they break into the Ministry in Deathly Hallows. So why all of this theatrics? Let's play a game. Would you rather spend the year getting battered and bruised because you're facing deadly challenges, confined to the castle because a madman has escaped prison to kill you and just kind of waiting for him to attack, while also hating him with everything inside of you because he's the reason that your parents are dead, or live in fear because there's a monster on the loose in the castle petrifying students? Leave your answer in the comments down below. I hate the ending. I hate it so much because why would they do this? The trio are best friends. Of course they're right to each other. Furthermore, Harry is about to spend 8 weeks with the Dursleys. He lives for the letters that his friends send him. Why would they have him say, yeah, every week, as if he won't actually be waiting anxiously to hear from them? Why would they imply that staying in touch during the summer is somehow a hardship for either of them? Like, they wouldn't miss each other? I hate it! Even the way they have Harry comically pat Hermione on the shoulder just before this to be like, yes, when she says like everything is gonna change. This isn't a joke. Harry has just lived through horrendous trauma, watching Cedric get killed and the most evil man alive regain his power. He himself just narrowly escaped death and has no idea what life will be like now that Voldemort is back. Why is the tone here played for laughs? Like, I hate it. Wouldn't it make more sense to handle this? This whole like everything's gonna change things more seriously, because even for us, things are changing. The books get darker and more serious. And then after this scene, have a nice warm moment of friendship with the trio talking about summer and how they'll stay in touch to show that, like, while everything may be changing, they'll still have each other. I don't know. Some of the decisions just baffle me. Anyway, the end at last. I am now considering the fact that I dislike this movie a lot because it was the first time that I was disappointed. Like, I think the first three are very solid adaptations, and the third is simply my favorite Harry Potter movie. So this one was a real letdown when I first watched it. I guess I just never got over it, because watching it isn't a horrible experience. If you can ignore Dumbledore just not being Dumbledore at any point in the entire movie, then you can enjoy yourself. If you like teen drama, you'll enjoy the Yule Ball and all of that. The first two challenges aren't bad, like they're entertaining to watch. It does feel very magical, but it's definitely not one that I watch as often as the others. It's low on my list, like I said in the beginning. But hey, if you like it, I would love to hear why in the comment section. Maybe there's something that I'm overlooking here. I feel like most people who like this movie are people who haven't read the books, just because they have nothing else to compare it to, so they can just enjoy it for what it is, which is not a bad thing. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the Goblet of Fire. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. As of writing this script, I've already started working on the next video. I'll give you guys a hint. It's another song ranking. So if you want to see that, you should subscribe like right now, so you're notified when it comes out. You should also check out my other Harry Potter videos, except maybe don't watch the first one. I did it in a style that I quickly came to regret. But you live, you learn, right? And you know what? I bet you could learn a lot from checking out my other videos. So you go do that, and I will see you in another video. Adios!